Welcome to another deep dive. We love getting your suggestions for topics to cover, and this one comes straight from you. We'll be looking at excerpts from a talk by Elder Jeffrey R. Holland. It's called Be With and Strengthen Them, from April 2018.
Ah, yes, I remember that one.
Yeah, it announced some pretty big changes to how members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints care for each other, moving away from a more, structured approach to something much more human, you could say.
It's a fascinating shift. The church had programs for so long called home teaching and visiting teaching. Members were assigned to visit others monthly, often with, a prepared lesson.
So this talk really signals a change in direction then.
Oh, absolutely. It's a real change.
So instead of home teaching and visiting teaching, now it's all ministering, right? What's the thinking behind that?
Yeah, the term ministering is meant to be much broader. It's meant to encompass all kinds of service and care, things that go beyond formal lessons and can happen anywhere, not just in homes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it recognizes that true Christian service comes from, a place of genuine love and concern, not just a sense of obligation.
So instead of just going through the motions, it's about really connecting with people and figuring out how to best support them.
Exactly. It's about fostering, heartfelt discipleship modeled after the Savior, not just checking boxes. And that can take so many different forms. Elder Holland even mentions things like phone calls, notes, emails, video chats, even social media.
Wow. It seems like the church is really embracing all the ways we can connect with each other these days. So how does this new, less structured approach to ministering actually work in practice?
Well, instead of, assigned visits and prepared lessons, there's a lot more flexibility now. It's about meeting people where they are and using whatever methods work best for them. Remember that bumper sticker Elder Holland mentioned? Honk if you've been home taught.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. He didn't seem too fond of that one.
Right. It kind of poked fun at the old, more programmatic approach.
Yeah.
But, it also highlights how things are different now. It's not about fulfilling an assignment or making sure everyone gets a visit. It's about fostering authentic, meaningful connections.
And this emphasis on genuine care also led to a change in how ministering is reported, right?
Absolutely. Instead of detailed monthly reports, there are now quarterly interviews between those ministering and their leaders.
Huh.
This move away from, detailed reporting shows a profound trust in individual members to act as true disciples, motivated by love rather than external pressure.
So it's less about micromanaging every interaction and more about trusting people to act with love and care, which is a powerful motivator in itself.
And here's where things get even more interesting. Elder Holland emphasizes that church headquarters doesn't need to know how, where, or when these connections happen. What matters is that they do happen, that people are reaching out and blessing each other's lives in genuine and meaningful ways. He boils the essence of ministering down to pure religion undefiled before God.
He even shares a truly powerful story to illustrate what this looks like in action, the story of Brett and Kristen Hamblin.
This is where the idea of ministering as pure religion really comes to life. You see, Kristen unexpectedly passed away one Sunday evening. You see, Kristen unexpectedly passed away one Sunday evening. And in that moment of, profound grief, Brett instinctively reached out to his home teacher, Edwin.
It's amazing how in moments of crisis, our minds go to certain people.
Bro.
It really speaks volumes about the relationships we've built.
Right. And Edwin's response was immediate. He rushed to be with Brett, helped with the children, even drove Brett to the hospital behind the ambulance that was carrying Kristen.
Wow.
After the doctors pronounced Kristen dead, Edwin simply held Brett as he grieved. He didn't try to offer platitudes or fix anything. He just provided comfort and support in that, raw, vulnerable moment.
It's those simple acts of human kindness that can mean the most.
Absolutely. And it didn't stop there. Edwin and his wife Charlotte continued to go above and beyond. They cared for the Hamblin children, provided meals, comfort, a sense of normalcy in the midst of chaos. To those children, Edwin and Charlotte weren't fulfilling an assignment. They were a source of genuine love and support.
That story really highlights the difference between performing a duty and responding to a heartfelt need.
It really does. Brett himself reflected on this, saying that the remarkable part wasn't that Edwin came when called, but that Edwin was the person he instinctively thought of in his moment of need. It speaks to the power of genuine connection and the importance of cultivating those relationships.
I can see why Elder Holland chose to share that story. It's a powerful example of what true ministering looks like in action. But this idea of pure religion undefiled before God, that's a pretty profound concept. What exactly does Elder Holland mean by that?
It goes back to the book of James in the New Testament. It's about recognizing that true religion, true discipleship, isn't just about outward actions or rituals. It's about a genuine inward transformation that manifests in how we treat others, especially those in need.
So this is not just about going to church or saying the right words. It's about living a life of love and service.
Exactly. And that's what Elder Holland is trying to get at with this shift to ministering. It's a call to move beyond simply fulfilling obligations and to really tap into that Christ-like love that motivates us to care for one another in authentic and meaningful ways.
And that kind of love goes far beyond just our interactions within the church, right? It impacts how we treat everyone we encounter.
Of course, this principle of pure religion applies to all aspects of our lives. It's about being a good neighbor, a compassionate friend, a kind stranger. It's about recognizing the inherent worth and divinity in every person we meet and treating them accordingly.
It's a beautiful and challenging call to action. But what would you say are some practical ways we can incorporate these principles into our daily lives?
Well, it starts with being more aware of the needs of those around us. Are there people in our lives who are struggling, lonely, or hurting?
And then what? How do we actually reach out in a way that's genuine and helpful?
It doesn't have to be complicated. It could be a simple phone call, a text message, a handwritten note, or an offer to help with a chore. It could be inviting someone over for dinner or just spending time listening to them without judgment.
It sounds like it's less about grand gestures and more about those small acts of kindness and connection that can make a big difference.
Exactly. It's about being present, being attentive, and being willing to offer whatever support we can. Sometimes just letting someone know they're not alone can make a world of difference.
Elder Holland also emphasizes that we shouldn't wait for someone to ask for help. It's about being proactive in noticing needs and reaching out.
Yeah, it can be easy to get caught up in our own, busy lives and miss those opportunities to make a difference. But as Elder Holland reminds us, we all have that capacity to be ministers in our own unique ways.
And, he even poses this really thought-provoking question.
He asks, if you were in Brett Hamblin's shoes, facing a sudden crisis or a moment of profound need, who would you instinctively turn to?
Wow, that really makes you stop and think.
It does. It challenges us to consider the depth and authenticity of the relationships we've cultivated. Who are those people in our lives who embody that spirit of genuine care and concern? Who would go above and beyond, any formal duty to offer comfort, support, a listening ear?
It's a good reminder that we should not only strive to be receivers of such love, but also be givers of it, freely and generously.
Absolutely. And, as we think about this shift to ministering, it's important to remember that it's not just about changing labels or simplifying systems. It's about a fundamental shift in mindset, a call to embrace a higher and holier way of caring for one another.
It's about recognizing that divine spark in each person and responding with the same compassion and love that the Savior exemplified.
Precisely. And that's the kind of legacy we can all create. A world where genuine connection and heartfelt care become the norm. A world where we strive to see and respond to the needs of others with the same love that the Savior has for each of us.
Well, I don't know about you, but I feel incredibly inspired after this deep dive. Elder Holland's message is a powerful reminder of the transformative power of love and service.
It really is. It's a call to action to be more intentional in our efforts to connect with and strengthen those around us, to move beyond the superficial and embrace those genuine heart-to-heart connections that truly enrich our lives and bring us closer to the divine.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Be With and Strengthen Them. We hope you found it as insightful and thought-provoking as we did. And remember, keep diving deep and keep spreading that love.